In this episode, we talk about the Agnipath Defense Recruitment Scheme. We also talk about a case of certificate forgery in the Postal Services recruitment process in Odisha. But first, we talk about a militant attack in Jammu and Kashmir that killed 9 people. Hi, I am Niharika Nanda, and you are listening to 3 Things, the Indian Express news show. On 9th of June, 9 pilgrims were killed and 33 injured after terrorists opened fire on a bus carrying pilgrims in Jammu and Kashmir's Reasi district, causing the vehicle to plunge into a nearby gorge. The incident has raised concerns among security agencies in the Union Territory, indicating that militants are extending their operational reach beyond the borders of Rajouri and Poonch in the otherwise peaceful Jammu region. In fact, since then, the region has also witnessed another encounter in which a CRPF personnel passed away. To understand the situation in Jammu and the developments that have happened since the attack, Indian Express's Arun Sharma joins us. Arun, can you begin by talking about how things unfolded since June 9's attack on the pilgrims? And can you tell us a little about the investigation?
Just ahead of the swearing-in ceremony by Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the 3rd time, militants attacked a peaceful area in Reasi district's Poni Tehsil near Shiv Khodi Shrine on a bus which was carrying pilgrims to Katra. And the area was peaceful. It had not seen militancy for the last more than 12 years. The incident certainly came as a shock for everybody, and 9 people were killed, 38 were injured. Security forces, police, they are now searching the area for militants. The area has borders with the Rajouri district. Still, militants are at large. No contact has been established with them so far. The security agencies and police believe that they appear to be foreigners, have come from Pakistan. They may be operating in the nearby areas of Rajouri. They were not new to this area as well. This is what the investigations have gathered things so far.
You also had the opportunity to talk to the victims. Talk about what they told you about the entire attack.
Victims, they were in a state of shock. Basically, a few of the survivors I talked, they said they were new. They were going to the area first time to Shiv Khodi Shrine. Certainly, they had been coming to Mata Vaishno Devi. 1 or 2 had come to Mata Vaishno Devi for the 2nd time. But most of them, they had gone to Shiv Khodi for the first time. They thought that there is peace in the area, in all over the UT. Things have changed. Certainly, things had changed. No one knew that suddenly militants will come and attack them. They were in a state of shock. One of them said that had he known that there will be militants, he would not have come.
And what is the situation like in Reasi and the other neighboring areas since the incident?
Yes, since 9th of this month, 4 attacks have taken place at 4 different places. There is certainly a sense of fear among the people. Situation is by and large peaceful, normal. Life is normal. Things are going on as usual. But in affected areas where attacks have taken place, there is certainly a sense of fear, maybe because high alert has been sounded by the police and the security forces because they apprehend that there may be some more militants moving around in the area or nearby areas. They may strike. And people too have a sense of feeling that if militants can attack there, they can attack anywhere if they are moving around. But by and large, the situation is normal.
And Arun, can you tell us a little about the encounter that happened between the security personnel and the militants on Wednesday?
Yes, it happened in Kathua district. The area has been well-known infiltration route of militants in the past as well, when militancy was on its peak in 90s in Kashmir Valley and mid-90s in Jammu region. But in this area, militants never targeted any civilians, except they had attacked police station in Rajbagh, nearby areas, and Kathua district in the past. What happened on 11th? 2 militants, they knock at a door, enter the house and ask for water. One of them opens fire when other villagers came to know, and then they tried to go near them to ask from where they had come. And one of the civilians got killed. The news spreads. Police rushes to the area, cordons them. One of the militant, he tried to hurl the grenade and got killed in retaliation by the police. He is shot dead. Another, taking advantage of this darkness, he escapes, but because the searches were continuing to track him down, during wee hours of the next morning, he opens fire on the search parties and injures a CRPF personnel who later succumbs in Kathua District Hospital. Later, he also gets killed, and both the militants were shot dead. But searches are still going on, and a lot of warlike stores were seized from them, including M4 rifle and AK-47, grenades, medicines, everything.
And Arun, these areas that we've been talking about, Reasi, Rajouri, Poonch, how frequent are such incidents in these places?
Rajouri and Poonch district, and even the Reasi district also, they had witnessed peak militancy during the mid-90s, when militants spread their activities from Kashmir towards South of Pir Panjal in Rajouri, Poonch district. They spread to Reasi also, Doda district also. They had seen peak militancy, but I can say 16 years back, police had neutralized the last militant operating in these three districts, Rajouri, Poonch and Reasi district. They were the first to be declared militancy free by the Jammu and Kashmir police. But Rajouri district, incidents of militancy started somewhere in August when two militants got killed in Pangai. Then this encounter was followed by a grenade attack on the house of a BJP leader in a Rajouri town, in which a minor child got killed, some people got injured. Then militant attacks take place in Pangai area the same year into 2021. In which 2-3 security personnel gets killed. Then thereafter, a series of militant attacks took place, attacked security forces and civilians as well. So far, I believe that more than 3 dozen security men, army men have been killed in attacks and encounters with militants. More than a dozen civilians have been killed so far. In Rajouri and Poonch district, I am talking about.
And tell us, what have local authorities and regional leaders said about these recent attacks?
Authorities and the security agencies, they are of the opinion that militants are trying to expand their area of operation just to ease pressure on them in Kashmir Valley. Because Kashmir Valley, the stone pelting is over, the local recruitment is not there. This is what the authorities say. And required tourists are going. So they have shifted their base towards the south of Pir Panjal in Jammu region. So to divert the attention of security forces from Valley towards Jammu. Political leaders, they too admit that situation is worsening, and opposition, they blame the ruling party and the administration for this worsening situation. They say that action has to be taken on war footing, because if things deteriorate further, it is certainly going to affect tourism. It is certainly going to affect pilgrims who are visiting Jammu region, Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine, Shiv Khodi and other places in large numbers. Last year, the number of tourists visiting Jammu and Kashmir was more than 1 crore.
And Arun, as someone who has been reporting on these issues for some time, what kind of concerns do you think these attacks in Jammu raise?
The concern is that Jammu province is strategically located. Just as I said earlier, it says its borders with Pakistan on one side. It borders Punjab and Himachal Pradesh on the other side. If incidents of militancy increase in Jammu province, there are every possibility of their moving towards Punjab also, towards Himachal also, because they are porous borders with Jammu province. And certainly, yes, in Jammu province, it has a mixed population. Here, Hindus, Muslims, and people from other communities also live together. And further spurt in militancy is going to, may lead to communal rights as well.
And next we talk about the Agnipath Defense Recruitment Scheme introduced by the government in 2022, which has faced criticism from thousands of young people, opposition parties and even army veterans.
The scheme was aimed at recruiting soldiers, airmen and sailors to the Indian Armed Forces for a period of 4 years.
That's Indian Express's Amrita Nayak Dutta, who covers defense for the paper.
So as per the scheme, at the end of their 4-year tenure, up to 25% of them could apply voluntarily to join the services on a regular basis, and this was subject to merit and organizational requirements.
So to be clear, after 4 years, only 25% of these recruits or Agniveers can join the services on a permanent commission. The rest 75% end their service and do not get pension post-retirement.
So the major difference, there are many differences, like they're not getting permanently absorbed except a certain 25%. Apart from that, the biggest difference between a regular soldier and an Agniveer who's serving for 4 years in the armed forces is that the former will draw pensions post-retirement, while an Agniveer is not entitled to any pensionary benefits. This doesn't, however, hold true for the 25% who will get permanently retained. They are eligible for pensions after their retirement. But the remaining 75% who will move out after 4 years, they are not entitled to any pensionary benefits.
And this is one of the main reasons why young people aspiring to join the armed forces have criticized this scheme. In fact, the armed forces are now considering tweaking the scheme to retain up to 60 to 70% of regular troops and nearly 75% of technical and specialist soldiers, as opposed to just 25%. And so in this segment, we speak to Amrita about the current status of the scheme and the compensation it provides to the Agniveers. Amrita, can you begin by talking about the scheme a bit and tell us how many Agniveers have been recruited so far?
So currently, after it was announced in 2022, this is the only scheme that's there for military recruitment in the armed forces. The scheme, all sailors, all airmen and soldiers except the technical cadre of the medical branch are all recruited to the 3 different services under this scheme. This scheme had also opened doors for recruitment of women as Agniveers to the Indian Air Force and the Navy. The Army had started the process of recruiting women soldiers into its corps of military police in 2019. So, if you ask me the total number of Agniveers who already completed training, in the Army, 2 batches of 40,000 Agniveers have completed training and have been posted in different locations. The 3rd batch of 20,000 Agniveers began training in November 2023. And there are also various training underway in different regimental centers of the Army. In the Navy, 3 batches of 7,385 Agniveers have completed their training. And in the Air Force, 4,955 Agniveer Vayu trainees have completed their training. So this is the status as of now.
And we know that the Agniveers who don't continue beyond 4 years don't get a pension. But talk about the kind of compensation that is provided to them instead.
So the remuneration of an Agniveer would be about 30,000 to 40,000 per month, and they're entitled to certain other risk and hardship allowances. The scheme also has a Seva Nidhi contributory package under which Agniveers contribute 30% of their monthly emoluments, and the government also contributes the same amount. It's like the way we get our PF. So on completion of 4 years, they will receive around rupees 11 to 12 lakhs from this Seva Nidhi package, and this will be exempt from income tax. In case there is a death on duty, they will receive over rupees 1 crore, including the Seva Nidhi package and the full pay of the period they could not serve, which is the remaining period of the 4-year period. In the instance of a disability, they can receive up to 44 lakh depending on the percentage of disability suffered, which is attributed to or aggravated by their military service.
And Amrita, what was the reason behind introducing the scheme?
So the very unsaid reason why it was introduced, the government never said it publicly, but that is understood to be a primary reason, is that it would save pensions. It would sort of cut down on the growing pensions, the defense pensions. That was a major aim.
And can you tell us just how much India spends on defense pensions at the moment?
This indeed is a major concern for India. India has a growing defense pension. So if you look at our overall defense budget for 2024-2025, that stands at rupees 6.2 lakh crore. And this includes defense pensions of 1.41 lakh crore.
Right. So over 17% of the defense budget is going into pensions alone, and 1.5 lakh crore is actually even more than what India spends on health. But earlier you said that this was just the unsaid reason. So what did the government say about why it was introducing this scheme?
So the government at that time had said that the scheme was aimed at ensuring a youthful profile of the Indian Armed Forces and transforming the military into a tech-savvy and modern fighting force, while ensuring the availability of disciplined and skilled youth from different backgrounds in civil society when they retire after 4 years, which means that since they will be retiring every 4 years, the general profile of the people serving in the armed forces, the Agniveers, they will be young. And obviously, it was also said that they would be imparted all modern training, so they would be a modern fighting force. And when they retire at the end of 4 years, they would be very disciplined and trained and skilled youth. That would be available, a pool of them would be available in the civil society when they retire. Just the way people undergo training for NCC and then they're considered very disciplined, it's the same way. This is how the government had said at that time. But the major reason is it would kind of save pensions.
And so can you tell us about the kind of opposition it has faced and who all have been opposing this scheme?
So when the scheme was introduced, obviously a lot of youth who have been wanting to join the military, they were not very happy with this change in scheme, precisely because it's a government job, but it doesn't really offer them permanency. It offers permanency to a very limited percentage of Agniveers who would sort of get retained after 4 years, but the rest 75%, they had to sort of retire from the armed forces after 4 years and look for another job. So that lack of permanency and of course lack of pensions is not something that people were very happy about initially. And there were certain benefits which a soldier gets once he or she is permanently retained into the armed forces, and some of those benefits, the biggest one being pensions, were not there for the Agniveers. So there was a lot of resentment on that. And then, of course, politicians across parties, they have also expressed their dissatisfaction or opposition over the scheme. Like, for example, when an Agniveer died at the Siachen Glacier last year, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi called the Agnipath scheme as one to insult the heroes of India. You know, so much so that the Congress poll manifesto earlier this year, they had said that they would scrap the scheme altogether if they are brought back to power.
नरेंद्र मोदी ने 2 तरीके के जवान बना दिए। एक जो गरीबों का बेटा होगा, दलितों का, आदिवासियों का, पिछड़ों का, गरीब जनरल कास्ट परिवारों का बेटा होगा, माइनॉरिटी का बेटा होगा, और दूसरा जो अमीर घर का बेटा होगा। जो गरीब घर का बेटा है उसे उन्होंने एक नया नाम दिया है, अग्निवीर। और उससे ये कह रहे हैं कि देखो, अगर तुम शहीद होगे तो तुम्हें शहीद का दर्जा नहीं मिलने वाला है। क्यों? क्योंकि तुम अग्निवीर हो और तुम्हारा परिवार गरीब है। तुम्हें पेंशन भी नहीं मिलेगी, तुम्हें कैंटीन की सुविधा भी नहीं मिलेगी। अगर तुम शहीद हुए, तुम्हारी परिवार की, हिंदुस्तान की सरकार तुम्हारे परिवार की रक्षा नहीं करेगी।
Same was reiterated recently by Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav, who said that the scheme should be scrapped with immediate effect. On the other hand, JDU, a crucial BJP ally, they had sought a review of the scheme. They didn't ask for scrapping it, but they had sought that the scheme should be reviewed while offering, of course, unconditional support to the India alliance. So their politicians across opposition, across allies, they have all sort of voiced their opinion in either scrapping or reviewing the scheme. Precisely from what I understand, what they have heard from the ground, the larger dissatisfaction over lack of certain benefits that's offered to regular soldiers. I think on the basis of that, they have sought these things.
And Amrita, how would you say the government has responded towards this opposition?
Yeah, so Niharika, since there was a lot of opposition over the scheme, which had also picked up in the recent months, at least they were more in public, the opposition, the government had indicated just a few weeks ago that it is open to reviewing the scheme if needed. So speaking at a media summit this year, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, who is the Defence Minister in this term also, he had said that the government is open to changes in the Agnipath scheme if required. And the future, he had also reiterated that the future of youth who joining as Agniveers will not be impacted. But he had also maintained the earlier statement that the youthful profile of the forces should be maintained. Indian Express had also reported very recently that the army and the armed forces, they are carrying out an internal assessment to check how the scheme is working, how the scheme is doing, and if it is yielding the kind of results desired. So that is also a process that is underway, and the feedbacks have already been submitted by the armed forces, and based on that some recommendations have been drawn, and the new government which has just taken over, will decide on what are the possible changes that could be done to the scheme.
And in the end, we talk about a case of certificate forgery. The Central Bureau of Investigation yesterday launched a major investigation into allegations of certificate forgery in Grameen Dak Sevak postal recruitment exams held in Odisha last year. The agency conducted searches at over 67 locations across various districts in the state. According to sources in the agency, 63 candidates and some unknown officials of the postal department have been booked. The case pertains to the postal recruitment exam of last year, when officials found that 63 candidates from various postal divisions, including Balasore, Mayurbhanj, Kalahandi and Brahmapur, had submitted forged Class 10 certificates and mark sheets. In a statement it issued, the CBI said over 204 officials, including 122 officers of its own and 82 from other departments, were involved in the raids, considering the scale and seriousness of the investigation. Search teams are striving to uncover the interstate organized gang responsible for providing these fake certificates. Applicants were required to upload their certificates and mark sheets to a centralized server, and selection was automated and based on the marks secured in Class 10. Selected candidates were informed via text and email and were asked to report to the verifying authority within 15 days for document verification. It was during this process that officials found that several candidates had submitted forged certificates. The CBI said in a statement, quote, "These certificates were allegedly issued by the Board of High School and Intermediate Education, Allahabad, West Bengal Board, Kolkata, Jharkhand Academic Council, Ranchi, among others. The complaint suggests alleged involvement of an interstate racket in creating and supplying these forged certificates in collusion with the candidates," unquote. According to official sources, while most candidates claimed to have secured 98 to 99% marks in matriculation, many struggled with simple English, prompting the postal department to lodge a complaint with the police. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by Shashank Bhargav and me, Niharika Nanda. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.